Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, and good evening for all of you who are from around the world. We are just about to start our Massivit 3D large format 3D printing open house virtual webinar. I appreciate everyone's time. We're about to get started. We have a number of people that are still logging in. It would be good for me to go over a few of the housekeeping rules. What we're talking about right now is a number of people from around the world that are here to see this information. So we have muted everyone, but everyone has the ability to both ask questions on the right side control panel, chat through the right side control panel, and there also is a product handout that can be downloaded on the right side panel. If you don't see that panel, there is a red box with an arrow at the top that will both expand and reduce that panel so you can see it. By all means, ask those questions. We do have a time at the end where we will answer everyone's question. It is right on time, so we would like to get started. I appreciate everybody taking this time out to learn about Massivit 3D, the GDP technology, the applications that can be won over by large full-size 3D printing and additive manufacturing. I will go through a little bit more about the company and a little bit more about the technology here as we go. The webinar is scheduled for about 60 minutes. I'm going to present for about 20, and then we're going to pass the presentation over to our headquarters in Israel to give you a live demonstration of the equipment. See our showroom and answer some questions. We'll come back for a final few slides to summarize everything and make sure that everybody gets what they need out of this session. So I appreciate everyone's time. We'll get started here right now. As mentioned, my name is Jeffrey Freeman. I am the USA Regional Sales Manager for the Central Region. I cover an area down the middle of the country from Michigan to Minnesota to Texas. And of course, we have salespeople and regional sales managers and technicians that cover both East and West Coast, all of North America. And then we have salespeople and resellers around the world. So by all means, any questions you might have at the end that don't get answered in this session, you can reach out and we'll make sure that you get answered directly. Now, why are you here? Why Massivit 3D? What we're finding is that companies are used to using additive manufacturing today and using it more and more as functional parts. Those prototypes, fixtures, parts, pieces, and finished parts are being produced by 3D printing and additive manufacturing. But what we're seeing is a need for larger parts in the automotive market, the marine market, aerospace, even construction. Using additive manufacturing has been limited by the compromises that they needed to make in time and speed to produce smaller parts. We want to expand that into full-size production. Now, what we've seen also is that 3D service bureaus, even scenic fabricators, signage and display companies have limited their use of 3D printing because of the fact that 3D printers are relatively slow using old technology and have a correspondingly small build volume that requires multiple pieces to be printed, bonded together in order to make a larger creative part. What we're going to talk about today is how large volume 3D printing can be done using the Massivit GDP printer. I will touch base here with the agenda. What we're talking about now is the idea that we're going to review the company, review the technology, GDP or gel dispensing printing, how it works and how it compares to traditional additive manufacturing. We'll get into some detail on applications regarding design prototypes, custom pieces, fixturing, tooling, molding, and creative applications like visual communication items, scenery, and displays. After a review of the equipment, we'll talk about the workflow that's needed, and then we'll get into a live demo straight from our headquarters online. Lastly, we'll answer everyone's question, and we'll make sure that you get a final summary. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Massivit 3D. Massivit 3D was formed in 2013 by Gershon Miller. You may recognize the name if you're involved in additive manufacturing and 3D printing because he helped develop polyjet printing in the past. Now he's moved that 10 steps farther by creating a disruptive technology that Massivit is based on called GDP, or gel dispensing printing. It's up to 30 times faster than existing 3D printing. So if you're used to melting a plastic filament or having a large vat of photoresin cured with a laser, those technologies are tried and true in the past. Now we're talking about something that's much faster. Now you can see here some of the largest names and investors and partners from around the world. These people understand that the technology we're talking about today is the next generation for 3D printing. Now, Massivit 3D, as I mentioned, has been around since about 2013. We brought out our first product in 2016, and that initial product allowed us to produce 16 units out to the market in the first initial year, unheard of for large capital equipment. As the years have progressed, we bring out more features and more equipment, and as you'll see here, we have more equipment and even more materials coming out later this year. We'll get into some of the details on that later on in this presentation. Now you can see that Massivit has been designed around GDP technology to address the speed and size limitations of existing current technologies. Automotive, marine, rail, and aerospace have been using additive manufacturing, but they've always been limited by how large of a part they could produce practically. Sign and display, scenic fabrication, even architecture needs large parts just for their industry. That's not always possible with older plastic-based technologies. You can see here some of the great markets that Massivit has been involved in already today. Full-scale prototypes. What we're talking about is the ability to produce a full-scale concept car, all the exterior components and even the interior components that you can print in a practical amount of time. Large thermoform molds can also be produced. We have case studies and white papers available for anybody who wants more information about how we've produced thermoform molds, and all of the steps are laid out by Massivit. Functional prototyping is a big use of 3D printing and additive manufacturing, even end-use parts, and we're no exception. Our technology, when it's treated and coded correctly, can be used all the way as an end-use part. One example of end-use parts is custom signage and displays. Signs that are installed on the walls, interior and exterior in the environment, can be printed on the Massivit 1800 Pro unit. Those parts can then be illuminated or used in any way to try to transmit that information. In that same vein, we can do scenic fabrication, make event pieces, branding items, even architectural restoration pieces can be done, printed on the GDP technology that Massivit provides. As we've talked about, this unprecedented speed enables scale that is unheard of for 3D printing and additive manufacturing. We are up to 30% faster than other technologies. We can print a 6-foot tall part in about 6 hours. That means almost 2 meters tall in 6 hours time. Now, using our standard 1 meter diameter ring, we can print 14 inches out per hour vertically, unheard of for a similar layer size by any other technology that I know of in additive manufacturing. Of course, we have to have a matching build volume, which is approximately 4 foot by 5 foot by 6 foot, or a little over a meter by about 1.5 meters by 1.8 meters. That makes 2.8 cubic meters of build volume, or over 100 cubic feet. Again, one of the largest enclosed 3D printing systems that are available anywhere in the world. Now, it's important that we talk about how we, as Massivit and GDP technology, fits in the additive manufacturing world. We are a unique, disruptive technology. AM Power is an analyst company that investigates additive manufacturing and additive manufacturing companies around the world. They produce reports and analysis for a lot of different customers. They've produced this slide that shows polymer additive manufacturing technologies. You can see here, Massivit 3D has its own section of the pie. That's because we're a unique technology, and because of that, We have some advances that no one else has. Now, let's get into what those advances are and how GDP printing works. What we're talking about is gel dispensing printing and how it works very, very quickly. The gel dispensing screw extrudes gel. It's not just a liquid and it's not just a melted plastic. There's no melting or heating required. That dispensing screw applies layer by layer while a UV light cures that virtually instantly. Layer by layer, we build up the parts just like you're used to in additive manufacturing, but what we're talking about is an instant cure. Virtually no infill or support structure is really needed. The only pieces that require support structure or stabilizing ribs is when we want to print a part that has a very wide physical array. That speed unlocks the size that you're looking for. Large parts finally become practical and being able to 3D print. And once again, this is 30 times faster than any other technology that's out there that we know of. Now I'm going to show you a short video. This will take about 2 minutes worth of time. I will explain a little bit about what's going on here, and this video is available on YouTube if for some reason it's not coming through as cleanly as you'd like. What you see here is the Massivit 1800 Pro printer. It's the same printer style that you're going to see in a live demo in a minute. You can see that the gel is being extruded through a dispensing head. That dispensing head can control the position position and location of that gel being applied. And then the UV light surrounds that gel so it can be cured instantly. That allows us to build very quickly, as you've seen, tall parts in hours, not days. Using some advanced software, you can actually vary the wall thickness and vary the layer resolution. You see here that on the fly, we're able to produce these parts very, very quickly. Now our parts are printed hollow. Let's save that material. Let's save that cost. Let's save that time. You'll see that it's a very efficient way to produce parts, samples, and prototypes. There's no additional infill required. There's no additional support structure required. If you need additional strength, you can apply it later, or you can actually design in any sort of ribs or support structure that you might want. Here you see an extremely large build volume. Again, approximately 4 foot by 5 foot by 6 foot, almost 100 cubic feet of build volume. Full scale models are finally practical to produce. They're removed very easily, and there's very little support structure or infill that you would ever have to deal with. To give you a feel, again, you can see a full-size vehicle, automobile body kits. All of these pieces that have been limited are now available to you using Massivit GDP 3D printing. We are the leader in high-speed, large format 3D printing. Let me get us back to our presentation. 1 second. And we'll start to talk about some use cases. Now with these use cases, you'll see that same car we've been talking about. The reason we point that out is a vehicle concept developer developed this as a tribute to David Bowie. It's a full-size concept car that the entire exterior was produced in about 200 to 210 hours. Beyond that, you can go to fitment and application models. A street hunter design company had developed a body kit for the latest Toyota Supra and wanted to bring it to the 2019 SEMA show, which is a big automotive aftermarket show here in the United States. Only had a limited amount of time to do so. So we were able to print over a dozen body pieces, get them shipped, he fit them, he installed them, and produced the car in time to unveil at the show. Beyond this, you can see that 3D printing, as you probably are aware, you can check your form of your design, the fitment, the function, all the way now using full-size parts. Moving on to functional parts, you can get tooling printed, produce the actual plastic pieces. You can produce molds that you can then fill with concrete or other fill materials. Full-scale output in hours. What we're talking about is a complete car door for interior inspection. That car door takes about 27 to 30 hours. Unleash your creativity, produce furniture that, again, fits the environment it's going into. And of course, vending machine covers or other mechanical componentry, you can now fit up and check your function. What we're seeing is the idea that large parts can be done in hours, not days. So now let's talk about a few select customer projects. What we're talking about here is a customer of ours, Velum Nautica, located in the Mediterranean, produced this entire custom dashboard for a yacht. They can customize yachts as customers desire. They designed and printed this custom dashboard. It was printed in about 8 hours. It was coated, of course, for use on the water. That coating and finishing guide is something we provide for Massivit. We have hundreds of applications and dozens of detailed steps in order to help you with how you're going to get your parts in their finished condition. This is an example of Alstrom Group running printed parts on a rail performance test at 200 kilometers per hour. That's 125 miles an hour for those of us in the United States. They ran those parts. This is yet another example of good use full-size parts. This comes from YouTube. A European group is developing an electric vehicle. The entire exterior and the interior components were printed on the 3D Massivit printer there you see in the picture. Custom designed end-use parts are a common use for 3D printers, a common use for all additive manufacturing. Usually you have to compromise or sacrifice in order to use other technologies. Now, our friends at Velum have a yacht that wanted an extended swim deck. They designed it, printed it, installed it, and then once they coated it and finished it, they're on the water. So you can actually produce parts that are functional and out on the water. Now, beyond that, we want to make sure that we're really touching base on everything that this 3D printer can do before you see the tour. You can see here that we can actually produce concrete casting molds. That's designed into our software. It takes your imagery and creates an exterior mold. And now you're not limited to standardized shapes and configurations. Now you can actually produce custom artwork, custom furniture, and custom pieces. Concrete and other fillable materials can be poured right into the mold. We have a detailed, comprehensive step-through guide on how to do this so that you can start to apply this sort of technology into a market that has been working in traditional methods all this time. Another application that is very popular for the Massivit 3D and 3D printing in general is 3D dimensional signage and displays. Now, traditionally, this is made with a hand craftsman, maybe out of foam or other methods. Now, where it's available to be printed because we can provide something of that scale in a practical amount of time. The reality is, most existing technologies in the past for 3D printing would have taken too long to produce a part like this to make it practical. Now you can see that those parts are then treated and put out to make even more impact. Traditional channel letter signage is mounted flat up against a building and it gets the point across. The Performing Arts Center wanted something more impactful. They wanted to have a bigger effect. So they created a shadow effect or a slanted channel letter that would be very difficult to produce any other way. So we were able to do that using the Massivit to create these kind of parts. Now, to go one step further, our Massivit material is translucent, which means that we transmit light through it. You can put lights inside of it, colorize those lights to gather more, to create a larger impact and communicate even more. Take a traditional channel letter and use its third dimension. Make outdoor and indoor fixtures, light systems, and even full light fixtures transmitting light the way you want it to be portrayed. You can even see here that 3D printing has now entered the world of retail design. Some of these features, including the Louis Vuitton pop-up store, were fully 3D printed using Massivit GDP technology. The Louis Vuitton, of course, was coated and then chromed, but the reality is They were able to put up that store, run for a while, and then bring it back down in a practical manner and in a practical time frame. Large, oversized media is, again, a big use of 3D printing now that it's available in size. In the past, it would have to have been handmade. Now we can actually bring those pieces to market very easily and quickly. So what we're talking about is the ability to bring scenery and exhibit type skills into everything from engineering to retail, from production and functional pieces down to displays and exhibits. All of these parts for branding and events can be done on a Massivit 3D printer. It could still be done in additive manufacturing and 3D printing, but it would have taken a lot longer. Now let me close up with a little bit on the workflow and the equipment, and then we'll get to our tour. So the reality is, for file preparation, it's very similar to all 3D printing and additive manufacturing processes. Use an STL or an OBJ file, you put it into our Massivit smart slicing software, you evaluate and estimate what you would like, how much material you're going to use, and how you're going to print the part, and then you take it out of the printer once it's done. You can see here an example of the Massivit smart slicing software. Everybody knows what a full-size toilet approximately looks like in sizes. You would know that to print it on a small desktop 3D printer would take dozens of parts and days of printing. We were able to print both halves at the same time because our printer has both a single head or a dual head option. So we can print both pieces at once. That double wall for strength printing took under 29 hours to get this full size component. That increases your output efficiency. Now, we'll talk briefly about the printer before we get to our tour, okay? We at Massivit had developed hardware to match our GDP technology. The Massivit 1800 is our flagship 3D printer. It has that incredible speed we're talking about, and it has a matching print volume. The speed is so much that you can print a 6-foot model in about 6 hours. And if you'll remember from the beginning, our 1 meter ring test prints 14 inches per hour vertically. Put that up layer for layer against any other technology, and I doubt you'll ever find something that beats it. A matching build volume means approximately 4 foot by 5 foot by 6 foot. So over 100 cubic feet, and that's a little over a meter by about 1.8 meters, almost 2 meters by about 1.5 meters, meter 4. Now, of course, this hardware has some options. It comes in a base model that has a single head with the same layering technologies, or you can get a dual head with advanced pro software that allows you to adjust to have a variable layer height, and that layer height starts at 0.8 millimeters up through 1 millimeter and 1.3 millimeters, so a very usable layer and resolution fidelity on your output. Now, this is the Massivit 1800 flagship printer. This is the one that you're going to see today. In 2021, we have some great new product coming out. That piece of hardware is called the Massivit 5000. It's currently in beta testing. It will be out here this year. It is our next generation GDP printer. It has extra print layer heights, 0.5 millimeters, so thinner layer heights to give you a little bit finer resolution, a little bit better detail fidelity, or 1.5 millimeters to print even faster. There's new materials coming out that gives additional properties, and this Massivit 5000 includes advanced smart slicing software, additional dual head action. You can actually run different materials on different heads. What we're talking about now on a dual head on an 1800 is you run the same material on both heads. With the 5000, you'll be able to run different materials, not on the same part, mind you, but on different parts. Additional video, additional displays, and additional accuracies and unattended printing. Now, all of this functionality will be upgradable in the 1800. The functional upgrades of current equipment is designed into our strategy moving forward. Now, I've taken a fair amount of time talking about the equipment, the technology, and how the applications are applied. Now we're going to take a look at the actual printer. Now, again, my name is Jeffrey Freeman, and I'm the U.S. Regional Sales Manager for the Central United States. We have salespeople at each end of the country, along with salespeople and dealers around the world. Now I'm going to pass the presentation over to Nir, who is located in Israel at our headquarters, where all of our products are designed and built just for everyone's education that's here in the US. I'm located here outside Chicago, and that happens to be where our product and material ships from. We do have local nationwide support, and I'm happy to pass this now to Nir so that he can take you through the next part of our open house by showing and demonstrating the equipment. I'll switch over the presentation. Give me just 1 second.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. And good night from Tel Aviv. We are located here in 10 minutes away from Tel Aviv, and we welcome you in. Jeff explained so much, and I will try to show you how we do it. My name is Nir, because I'm always near you, and I'll try to bring you even near to us. So let's open the Massivit 1800 Pro and take a quick look. This is our build volume. We talk about a table that is about 1.2 meter, 1.5, and we can print objects that are up to 1 meter 80 height. Our GDP technology is using a print head, and you probably also saw the UV ring that we are using in order to cure the gel. How is the print process is done? I will try to explain it with this sample. We are printing layer by layer. After one layer, the table will go down. And like this, I will build the next layer and the next layer. This object was printed that way without any support. Without any support, we able to print also the roof. How do we do it? As we print one layer on top of each other and cure it immediately, we are printing one layer next to each other and cure it. By that, we are saving a lot of time, a lot of weight, and a lot of money of material that you are not spending while using the Massivit 1800. What you see more on the Massivit 1800, you see two printing heads. Why do I have two printing heads? Well, this is of course to increase the productivity, you might say. Yes, it is right. You have the capability to print two objects at the same time, and not only that, those two objects can be different, variate from each other in different resolution, and we are going to see it in a minute. More to say about the system. The system has a self-cleaning, automatic cleaning, which allows you a peaceful production, a high quality production along the way, along the hours that you are printing. Again, some more object, and I hope you can zoom it in, Zohar. It is a hollow object that was printed like this. You probably ask yourself, how do we feed the Massivit 1800 Pro? Well, we are feeding the Massivit 1800 Pro with buckets of 19 kilogram of gel, not liquid, not solid gel that we are feeding the machine with. But I think this is enough to talk about our parts, and I want to show you the machine in action. Okay. What we can see here, it's an easy to use touch screen. Actually, I can see what I'm printing. Very easy to take a look, very similar to what I have at home. And I can see with cameras actually what I'm printing. Very easy, very intuitive, and I would say even me, that I'm not an operator, can operate the unit. I hope that you can see it very good with our camera. We have two different objects at a time, and each one has different volume and different height. How do we do it? Each head is working independently. So when you are having the Massivit 1800 Pro, actually you have two machines at your site, and allow you to print either the same object, to cut it and to print two and to connect the two parts together, or as we do here, we are printing two different objects. The object on the right side is the pattern, and here we would look into a different quality, and the object on the left side is a relatively smooth object, and I might want to use it here. A higher resolution depends on what I want to do with the machine. Again, everything is running automatically and very easy to use. Last thing that maybe I want to show, I hope that you can see the purple light. The purple light is the UV ring, where the way we cure the gel. The UV ring has different intensity. We learned that with those variant intensity, we can get optimal curing of our object. And yes, it is ready to use once it is done. No need for extra finishing processes with our object. With that, after we saw the machine in action, I would like to show you some applications. Okay. On the way to our mini demo room, I want to show you the first application here. This is what we call mold mode. Our customer has the ability to print molds. This is concrete. We are not printing concrete here. We just printed the shell, and our customers do the casting. So they cast cement into the shell and broke the shell, even put some rebar into the action. Okay, so this is mold mode and can generate actually a mold for you, and you can cast your material into our print, into our hollow objects. But let's take a closer look on some more applications. So in this showroom, I want to show you, to open your mind to different application that done by our customers. If we are talking about the point of purchase application, so we can talk about this guitar. It was printed by Massivit 1800 and laminated by self-adhesive vinyl. You can see also some point of purchase or design that are done also by the Massivit. You can see it is very light. If we talk about technical application, I think from the automotive market, we are talking about, for example, a bumper. It's almost no weight. It was printed. We have done nothing here. Of course, we cleaned some ribs that we printed it with. And if you really want to make it a usable part, we gave it to a third party to paint it. Okay, I hope that you can see it well. We haven't painted it. We just printed it, and the customer would reinforce it with a fiberglass in order to get the strength for it, and paint it. Talking about reinforcement with the fiberglass, I think it is good to present this part. So maybe you can zoom in, and we can see the coating and reinforcement that was done on that object. Okay. For automotive market, this is a cleaning vehicle this is a cleaning vehicle for an airport, or I would say better for a supermarket as of today. Normally, the in this build volume, I would use this as one piece, but due to geometrical challenges, sometimes you need to print it in 3 parts, and this is how we did it. In addition to that, the customer would reinforce it with a fiberglass and make it this part a very robust part. Another part in terms of design from the automotive market, we talk about an entire door front. What we wanted to present is the capability to print the entire door in one piece. Of course, it is sometimes more logical to print it in different pieces and connect those pieces together. Talking about connecting pieces together, it is very easy to connect pieces together with a Massivit gel. I'll bring it back. You probably want to ask about our gel, our Demon gel, if we have only one product or we have more products. So I can tell you that the Massivit 1800 Pro can use different formulation of gel. The main one is DIM 100, which will allow you a good transparent translucency for different purposes. But we have also other 2 more or 3 more, depends on what you want to achieve, that you can choose out of for your specific application. Yeah. I think that also very to present another application. I want to present the vacuum forming application. This part, as you already understand, was printed and it is hollow. If I want to create vacuum forming, I need to strengthen this material. In order to do that, our customers would make a hole here, fill it with polyurethane or sand, and then this object will get the strength. What do you do with this? actually you vacuum form. This specific mold was tested for 50 times. We wanted to understand if we get any distortion along the way, and we stopped by 50 parts. Okay, so this is PETG, PETG, and this is, the mold was printed by Massivit. The dream is to be able to get a vacuum formed object at the same day. And with Massivit 1800 Pro, it is possible. I think with that said, I will summarize. I will try to summarize a little bit about the application that we have here at the small demo room, and we'll free some time for questions. So we talk about, if we talk about point of purchase, exhibition, we talk about the automotive market, we talk about the vacuum forming, and more technical application that we would like to show here. But again, this is what we can show here in this room. But imagination, I think, is our next product.
Thank you very much, Nir. I'd like to call out a few questions from the audience. We've had lots and lots of questions, so let's leave some time for some answers. The first question is, what are the bridging capabilities? How far of a gap can the gel print span without supports?
Okay, I think we talked about it very shortly. The way we do it, we are printing, we can print. For example, if you have a ring and you want to print it from outside inside, and because I'm connected to the next line. But if I want to print, for example, my hand standing like this, so we cannot bridge all the way to the hand. We might need to build a pole here. Again, if I stand like that, we can bridge. As long as we have one. Okay, we are not printing. We are connecting to one line, and we are not printing in the air. I hope it is clear.
Okay, and one more question. What about if the parts are made out of plastic, does the lifespan of the parts get shorter?
Okay, excuse me, can you repeat the question, Kip?
If the parts are made out of plastic, does the lifespan of the parts get shorter?
First of all, to talk about plastics, we are printing. Our material is acrylic based, thermoset acrylic based, and designed for indoor as well as outdoor. Once you want to use it outdoor, you do need to protect it, UV block or something. We have a very experienced technical team that is actually taking diamond gel and coat it with different coating in order to get chemical resistance, in order to get outdoor resistance, in order to even to get the flexibility not to break once you try to smash it. It is up to you. What we give you the basic and teach you how to protect the object for the right application you want to use.
Thanks, Nir. Another question about post-curing. Is post-curing required, recommended, or possible? Is there more than one type of resin available? And what type is the original unsaturated polyester epoxy or other? So firstly, post-curing, what's required, recommended, or possible?
There is no need. actually the printing, you can take the object and start working on it. We are using a UV curing. Actually, we polymerize the polymer immediately, and you probably saw the UV ring, and the UV ring allows us to use the right intensity for the curing along the objects. It might be a little bit tacky for the next hour or so, but you can actually use it immediately. No need for post or processing or anything. The different gel you asked, right, Kim? So concerning to the different gel, most of our customers will use DIM 100. DIM 100 is everything white everything white that you can see here. This mold. So we do have other formulation that look like that, and we also entering material for the graphic art market.
Okay, and what is the original material?
The original material, it is acrylic based. I hope you can hear us better now.
Thank you, Nir. This is much better. The last question was about the original material and how what it was based on. It was starting to break up at that answer.
Yes, so we said that the original material, most of our customers are using a DIM 100. DIM 100 is designed for white objects in different resolution from 0.8 through 1 millimeter and 1.3 millimeter, and it looks like that. We have another material that we are entering to the market with. This is a flame retardant material, and the material, I hope that you managed to see the gray object. This is an economic version of the original material.
Okay, great. And what post-processing is required? Do the parts need to be washed like conventional resin prints?
No, actually, the part is ready for use. Yes, you are right, and most of us are coming from the additive material world. We do have some ribs that we need to break, but they are really easy to break and really easy to finish. The material is very light to work with, but what you see here is actually what you get. We haven't touched. I hope that you can zoom it. And,
Okay, and also what are the material properties, mechanical properties, aging, stability, humidity, UV, temperature? How do these things affect?
yeah, I will send you the data sheet. Maybe we will later on add the data sheet to the. But again, anything that has to do with acrylic, this is what we can represent. Acrylic and thermoset in terms of chemical stability and mechanical stability. The material is very strong, and with this, if I will smash it to the floor, it will break. But customers would use the right coating. If they need it to be that stable, they would use the right coating or post-process of their own. Might even seal it with polyurethane in order to get the strength.
Another question, thank you, Nir. How are you able to print an unsupported horizontal plane? How is that possible?
I think I explained it already, but here we have the opportunity to present it from here. A normal additive manufacturing printing system would print this object that way. where this is the floor. For us, we print it this way. And first of all, we have a wide angle that we can print because we cure immediately the lines. We can come to a very narrow angle. And once we have here the line, we catch the next line next to the line immediately with the UV light. Okay, I will then link you with in the YouTube. We have a video that explains exactly how we do it, shows exactly how we do it. It is really easy, and again, we can do big object, we can do a lot, but not everything. This is something that we can do, but again, if I need to print my hand like this, maybe the right thing to do is to cut my hand here, to print it on the other print head, and myself to print in a normal way, and then connect it again.
Thanks a lot, Nir. And the next question is it possible to sand it or to CNC machine finish it?
Yes, it's very simple. We here we have very experienced technical guys that can explain you, but sand it is very easy. We are using some tools to send it. I don't even know how to call those tools. You can CNC it, but there is no point. It is really easy to use and easy to send out, even with the hand. Yeah. In many cases, people would even coat it before they send it in order to create a very smooth area, and then send it, and then you get a very smooth face of the object.
Okay, and the next question, when making a mold that would be used to make a bronze statue, what temperature can the mold withstand?
Okay. I'm not an expert in bronze, but our material has a specific stability for temperature, and we talk about up to 65 degrees. So if I do want to cast metals, most probably I would need to make a sand casting, or use it in first create a sand casting and then cast into the sand, and not directly into the material. Okay, so we talk about 65 degrees Celsius that we can stand in terms of heat.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Nir. We have dozens and dozens of questions. So what we can do is we can certainly answer most of those questions by email afterwards. Feel free to write some more questions now if you'd like to. And Jeff, I'll hand it back to you.
Very good. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Nir. I appreciate everyone's time, and I appreciate everyone's questions. I will set this up slightly. I would like to see that everyone can get their questions answered. That will be more in general. That will be during an email process, because we have so many questions that came in. What we're talking about right now is the ability to share this. Let me just see here. Sorry. I just want to get the last couple slides up, and then we'll be able to get everybody out of here at a reasonable time. Okay, I really appreciate being able to talk with everyone and share with everyone what has gone on with Massivit, the technology, and how the printers are being used. Now, what we've seen is that large volume parts can be much more useful than having to compromise for small parts or bonding parts together to get larger pieces. The savings in time decreases your cost. The exponential factor is the idea that your craftspeople that would normally be able to apply their skills in the most profitable manner can now free up some of their time by printing parts through that radical speed. So in general, the summary is that large volume comes from high speed, and high speed decreases your cost in 3D printing. Having GDP technology at your fingertips and as a resource really applies across the board. Now, this is probably what I think is probably one of the most important slides you're going to see today, because we really would like you to examine what you're doing and contact Massivit for an application review and an ROI analysis. Okay, you may have investigated 3D printing in the past. You may own additive manufacturing equipment today. You may be making fixtures the slow traditional method and see a new way here. And I think it's very important for you to note that we have salespeople, resellers, distributors, and direct Massivit personnel around the world. We have equipment located around the world. And with that, we're able to help support you for pieces, or in addition, the printers on your floor are an efficient way to apply your funds. If you expand your resources, you will see positive results. The potential results can be just an industry differentiation. If you're the same old manufacturing provider for your client, it's hard to differentiate yourself. But when you offer new technology that's lower cost, faster delivery, and better use of your time, then you're going to see an industry differential. You're going to see improved profitability, and you're going to see a greater client impact. That client impact leads to greater and improved client retention, increased deal sizes sometimes, and overall opening and unleashed creativity in how you make parts. I always joke, because I'm an engineer by training as well. Engineers are as creative as the artist. They're just at work in a different medium. That improved design cycle time allows you to bring parts to your client even faster and to more exacting standards. Set the expectations and meet the expectations is what you're trying to do. We want to give you a tool to help do that even faster. Now, our contact information is here below. By all means, everybody that's on here has been registered, but we would really like to see and thank everyone for coming to this event. This hour, I hope, has been useful. Once again, I'm Jeffrey Freeman. I'm the Central United States Regional Sales Manager. My contact information is there. Anyone from around the world is welcome to contact me, but I'll certainly get you out to the right person in your area. Thank you once again, and I appreciate everyone's time. And I know I appreciate everybody in Israel and everyone around the world for putting this on, and we're able to get this information to you. We will get those questions answered to you, and anybody who would like a copy of the presentation or the rest, please let us know.